Well, welcome in, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, coming to you from a random hotel room someplace in the state of Maine, watching the Boston Bruins and the Washington Capitals game muted because that is now the preferred way to watch Boston Bruins games. I would say probably the preferred way to watch Boston Bruins games is to just not watch them right now because it's bad hockey. It's bad hockey. I just turned my computer on, getting ready to record, and Ovi pops in number 891. So Washington up 2-0 tonight. Ovi now four away from the record, the Wayne Gretzky record there of 894, four away from 895. Great to see him get one there, just as a hockey fan, not as a Bruins fan, but as a hockey fan, great to see him get one there. And of course, before that, Boston naturally gives up a shorthanded goal on just a bungle of a play, which just added to the list of just what this year has been for the Boston Bruins. But thank you guys for joining tonight. Happy to be able to come on with you guys. Um, really just very happy about where we are today, where I am anyway, with this channel. I do have some new people that have come on board here recently, and just really thankful for that support and feel like I've had enough new people come on board. I feel like I maybe need to do a quick little reintroduction to who I am, what this channel is all about. So, my name is Ben. Hi, I'm a hockey nerd, clearly. From the state of Maine, live in southern Maine, and a great place to be. I am a Maine native. Lived in the coast of Maine there for the first 18 years of my life. Got away for college, went down to Northwest Georgia. I wanted to get away. I got away. I went to Lookout Mountain, Georgia, Covenant College, small little Presbyterian school. A great place to be. Some of the most iconic views from that campus. I just it could be mesmerizing just sitting off the balcony, just watching the sunsets there. It was just a great place to be. Ended up moving back to Maine. Uh, Married and divorced twice. I do have that scarlet letter, I guess, of two marriages, two divorces. I do have a beautiful 5-year-old boy who is just the absolute love of my life. I've talked about him on this channel a few times, and he's made a couple of unprovoked guest appearances where trying to keep the door shut and he just wants to pop in and be on. So awesome role. Any dads out there, any parents out there, really, it's just the best job in the world. Having little kids, it's a lot of work, but it's just the very best. But I started this channel back in May. Never thought I would be a podcaster, never thought I would do anything quite like this. This is completely out of the realm of my comfort zone. And I would have been the last person to think that I would do something like this over this past year. But it started as kind of a post divorce hobby. Like, and it was after I was in separation mode, and one of my coworkers, she kind of challenged me. She said, "Well, you're separated, you're going through a divorce, like you're gonna have all this free time, you're gonna like find some new hobbies and interests." And I remember thinking about that, and we were driving someplace, can't remember where, and I got really scared when she asked me that question, like, "Oh, shoot, like, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of free time. What in the world am I gonna do with myself?" Like, that part of it hadn't hit me yet. Kind of panicked, to truth be told, and took a few weeks, or really a few months at that point to go through the divorce, get things settled, and landed on, okay, let's try this out. Let's just see how this goes. And I've been really happy, really happy with this. Love the creativity of it. Love the just the kind of the freelance nature of what I can do here. I love the research too. I am a numbers nerd when it comes right down to it. I just have memories of being a kid, waking up Sunday mornings, getting that Portland Press, was the Maine Sunday Telegram, I think it was called, and looking up baseball box scores. And I got a couple of people my friends Lucas, my friends Jeff Kinney that know exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Knight as well. The guys would know exactly what I'm talking about. Like just the embracing all those numbers and whether it be fantasy baseball, whatever we were into at the time, and that is just parlayed into this where when I'm doing a podcast and I have to look at numbers or team stats or dig into, sites like moneypuck.com or Puckpedia, places like that, I love it. I just nerd out on that stuff. And I learn a lot too about each team that I am talking about. And it really makes watching the sport that much more exciting, that much more just enjoyable for myself. And so people say, "Oh, it seems like it's a lot of work to do these podcasts," and it is, but it's fun. Like I wouldn't be doing it if this wasn't fun, and it's part of why I'm just happy to be on my own. Right? You're not affiliated with anybody, not tied to anything. This is just me, my channel. It's what I want to do when I want to do it, and it makes it that much more fun and a lot less stressful. So that's a little bit about me, about the kind of genesis of this channel and how we arrived here. So for those who have supported me in this first year, really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's still very, very small in terms of YouTube numbers, but in the right direction. And it's growing, and I'm just so excited, so thankful for that. And I just hope that I can continue to deliver somewhat of watchable content that other people want to watch and listen to, and can hopefully hit what you guys want. That's ultimately what I'd love to see. But so yeah, we have Ovi in Boston tonight, as we say the end of the first period now, 2-0 Washington. 4 away now for Ovi. This is just incredible. I've talked about, I did a Washington video not long ago, but we have to just embrace what we're watching here with Alex Ovechkin. This was the record that was never supposed to be broken. Let's just remember that. Like nobody thought anybody would come close to this. And when you pull up Ovi's, stats and his year by year numbers, it's remarkable. And it's taken what he's done to get here. Like relative health over those years, consistency. It's been remarkable. We have just been witness to so much good hockey over these past, I would say, 2 decades, and more to come too. I mean, you've got guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, McKinnon, maybe my favorite player in the league right now. You have Kucherov down in Tampa. You got Matthews up in Toronto. Of course, David Pasternak, who no slouch of his own right, regardless of how bad his team is. And then you've got some young studs like Bedard and Celebrini and the, the kid up in Montreal, Hudson. Like, there's some good players in this league, and we are just really kind of in I'd say a golden age of the NHL. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. I really hope Ovi gets it in this calendar year or in this um, season. I say calendar year, but really in this season, it would suck to have to go through the whole summer if he's like 1 or 2 off. 4 away. If he gets one more tonight, I think he's going to get it. I do. I think there's enough games left for him to get it. And you know that his team will start feeding him. Not that they haven't been already, but they're going to start feeding him the puck even more. Um, yeah, just fun to watch, man. Just fun to watch. Fun to watch. We talk about the Boston Bruins for a second, and I apologize. I'm going to pull up some different numbers and stats here, but we know where they're at, right? We know the trade off. We know just how bad it's gotten. But right now, guys, they have lost 8 in a row. They are 30, 35, and 9, 69 points, a minus 51 in the goal differential. I would have to do some homework to find out when the last time was that they were a minus 51 in the goal differential. You think about all the great goaltending they've had over the years, and just even the years where they've been just kind of a fringe playoff team, like some of the really good teams they've had. This is just epically bad. Epically bad. Um, And I just feel like as you've watched these games, like they're not finishing strong to the end. It's like you can lose eight in a row and lose, but lose like with some dignity and lose like playing hard and playing well. These guys are not playing hard and playing well. Maybe they're playing hard. Maybe there's energy out there, but it's not good. It's just not good at all. I really question. I do question some of the effort out there right now. I don't think this is a team that has a whole lot of direction. I don't think it's a team that's putting out a whole lot of effort. I think they know where they're at. They're 1 point behind Buffalo right now, and I'm just going to pull up the kind of the conference numbers right now because I feel like bear with me here just for a second, guys. Yeah, we are second to last in the East in points, and we have one, two, three, four, five, six. Is that right? Yeah, yeah. Right now, you're the sixth worst team in the entire NHL. You got San Jose, Chicago, Nashville, Seattle, Buffalo, both with 68 points, and then Boston with 69. And you're going to lose this one tonight. You're down 2-0, and no reason to try to win this one. It's bad. It is just bad. A lot of chatter about Jeremy Swayman as well lately. And you go on social media and you see all that chatter. You see, just people, frustrated with him, throwing a lot of hate at him. Um, and listen, I know it didn't start well. I know that the contract negotiation and missing training camp, and then you parlay that with such a bad year. How much of this is Swayman's fault? Not the Boston Bruins season, but just his performance and the numbers. When we look at his numbers, I'll pull them up here. Not including tonight, of course. He's played in 52 games, has a 20, 26, and 6 record, a 310 goals against average, and an 893 save percentage. His totals, including those numbers, are 256 goals against and a 911 save percentage. So these numbers this year are way below his average over his career, which includes uh, 3 other seasons. Yeah, he had 44 games last year, 37 the year before that, and 21-22 at 41 games. And then actually the year before that, 10. So 2021, he had 10 games. So I'd say this is his fourth full season in the league. So this is really bad compared to his regular standard numbers. And a lot of people saying, is he just a bad goaltender? And I do think that's a little bit of an overreaction. I do. It's not to say that there's not some blame for him. I don't think it's been a good year for him. Um, I think that he has not had his best year. I think there's been plenty of saves out there that he would say himself, man, I really should have saved that one. Um, but I also think that the team in front of him has been historically awful. And I do think it probably hurt him, at least initially at the beginning of the year, where he wasn't on time. He didn't start on time. He missed training camp. He's trying to play catch up. And I don't think that's an excuse kind of after end of October. I think you kind of catch up at that point. But I do think there's been just a series of bad dominoes with him not starting on time and the team in front of him, defensive lapses, even when we were healthy. And listen, people say, oh, well, injuries, it's not played a big role. Yeah, but the injuries played a role in this season, no doubt. But the team wasn't playing very good when they were healthy. You got to remember, we fired a Jack Adams award-winning coach in November when the team was fairly healthy. Yeah, Lindholm was out at that point after that St. Louis game, but this is a pretty healthy team when we fired Monty, and hasn't gotten any better, has it? Hasn't gotten any better. So, yeah, blame I think for Swayman, but I also think that he didn't just suddenly become a bad goaltender. Like he's a really, really good goaltender. I think next year you're going to see a rejuvenated version of him. I think you're going to obviously you would have to see a better version of the Boston Bruins next year, even regardless of what they add. I think just getting McAvoy and Lindholm back defensively will help. Um, yeah, yeah, it's just been troubling. But I don't think that you have to panic. I don't think, if you're a Bruins fan and you're worried about that contract, I think it's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. Yeah, do you wonder about the contract? Psychologically, we hear about this, where you have someone that's just working so hard, so hard, so hard for that big payout. He finally gets it and stops working. Yeah, it does happen to some guys. I don't think that's Jeremy Swayman, though. I think the guy loves hockey. He's a gym rat. He is someone that has, I think, a lot of pride in how he plays. And I think he signs here in Boston because he wants to be a Bruin. That means something. It really does. And I think you're going to see a goalie that's going to be playing next year with a big time chip on his shoulder. And yeah, I think you're going to see better results. Not going to happen this year though. This year is just a wash. But yeah, there's been some times, and listening to like Andrew Raycroft and others who really know that position. Yeah, there's just some. I don't know if it's like some sight lines or some different just areas where he's been missing on things, and clearly the defense in front of him hasn't been very good. Another kind of fun topic for the Boston Bruins lately over the past week or so has been, of course, the firing of John Tortorella. Of course, John Tortorella, Maine guy, and someone that has been you know, conjuring up some conversation here uh, for the Boston Bruins in terms of, hey, could he be the next head coach of the Boston Bruins? I did a video a couple weeks ago about looking at potential candidates because I don't think you're going to see our head coach coming back, our interim head coach coming back, Joe Sacco. I do think that they will be moving on. I think they should move on. I think there should be a kind of a reset of that. I don't think Sacco's the guy. Like him, as I said earlier on, as an assistant coach, I don't like him as a head coach. And yeah, of course, I talked about Sullivan. I talked about Joel Quenneville. I talked about Jay Leach, who is on the bench right now as an assistant. As maybe your top three guys that you're going to look at, that I would want to look at. Is John Tortorella able to make that list for me? What about for you? My answer is a very stark no. Absolutely not. And it's not because I don't like him as a coach. I think there's a shelf life to Tortorella, and I think there's a certain type of team that fits him, right? Now, listen, his career coaching record, I'm just going to pull these numbers up right here, guys. He's coached in 1,620 games in the regular year, 770 wins, 648 losses, 37 ties, 165 overtime losses, a 538 winning percentage, 56 wins in the playoffs over 120 games. So the man has coached a ton of hockey. Of course, Stanley Cup champion going back to the 03-04 season in Tampa Bay. Long time ago, but does have that cup to his name. I think that Torts is more the type of guy that can take a wild card type team or a number three in the conference or in the division to a cup run. Like that's the kind of coach I think he is. I think he can elevate a good team to be a great team. I don't think he can do what they were trying to do in Philadelphia, which is take a bad team, a rebuilding team, a young team, and get them to the playoffs. I don't think that's his wheelhouse. I don't think that's his strength as a coach. And truth be told, when you look at Boston, we'll see what happens July 1st, right? We'll see what happens. I think that we are looking at more of a rebuild than what we are anticipating. Because yes, there's a lure to coming to an original six. Boston will have money, so our hope is that we'll attract the right free agents and veteran people to come here. But maybe not. I understand that there's 31 other teams that are also going to have money that might be way better situations. Everybody's like, "Oh, Brad Marchand's just going to come waltzing right back through the doors." Like, I don't think so. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of other way more attractive situations. You know, when was the last time like you've been in a situation for 16, 17 years, in your work environment? Do other places look attractive after that? Like, yeah, probably, right? So we have to brace ourselves that this might be more of a rebuild than we realize. And I don't know if John Tortorella is the type of guy to lead you into that. Will Torts ever coach again? Like, he has a little bit of that old school mentality that the league has kind of moved on off of, and players have kind of moved off of. We'll see how that goes. We'll see where he ends up. He's got a great pedigree, and I do think in the right situation, he could be a hell of a coach. I think he'd be a really great coach. I just don't know if he is the coach for the Boston Bruins right now. We will see. I am going to hit the pause button real quick, and I'll be right back with y'all. All right, guys, I am back. Sorry for that quick pause. Uh, yeah, so in terms of Torts, I just don't think he is the guy. I still really hold tightly to if Mike Sullivan wants to be done in Pittsburgh. I think that Boston would be just an awesome place for him to be. But I also don't know how much he would be interested in a full-on rebuild because he's been in that Pittsburgh situation with a bunch of veteran guys and superstars for so long, and of course they haven't made the playoffs now. This will be 3 years in a row. Is he looking for more of a go someplace to win now type of mode? Are those jobs even available though, right? So that'd be really curious. And I still hold to the fact, and it's not really getting a lot of conversation. Joel Quenneville. I don't hear anybody talking Joel Quenneville right now. And I know the baggage that's around it. We've talked about it on this channel a number of times. But man, why not? Like, why not? Well, look at all the people that get second and third chances. And I just think that he would be one of those guys that would just elevate a room, elevate a dressing room, elevate a bench. Like, and I still could, contend that he's gonna be working. Like, he'll be in the league here at some point, because winning matters. It just does. And sometimes winning matters over morals and over principles. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying that that's how oftentimes it goes. And so we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be really, really curious what Boston does here because I just don't think Sacco's the guy. And you just look at how this team's finished. I'm sorry, I keep looking up here. We're about 4 minutes into the second period, still 2-0. This is a Bruins team that can't defend. They can't get shots. They can't stop the puck. They can't generate anything offensively. Like they don't do anything well. And we know this is a, you know, 60% Boston, 40% Providence type of roster right now, but this has been the case for most of the second half. And let's be honest, good bit of the first half of the season, like this has not been a good hockey team. Even when they were holding on to third in the Atlantic, this is not a good hockey team. Um, and I'm not saying it's all Sacco's fault at all. I mean, he stepped into a really bad situation, but yeah, he's not elevating anything, in my opinion. He's not motivating anything. He's unfortunately for him going to be kind of the scapegoat here and not his fault all the way. But um, yeah, I think you just have to move forward. And did we move on from Neely and Sweeney? And that's another huge, huge question mark that I kind of haphazardly addressed in my last video when talking about the Maine Mariners. But it's a big question for a lot of Boston Bruins fans right now. What has Sweeney done as GM? He wasn't the GM in 2011. Let's not forget that. Like, he was not the GM in 2011 when they won. He hasn't won a Stanley Cup here. Um, not as GM. So is it time? Is it time to move on? Do we trust him with the assets that they now have with all the draft picks and some of the young players they've brought in? Listen, I'm not questioning his work ethic. Like, I know the guy, all these gyms work so hard. I get all that, and I do think he probably gets more crap from people like me than maybe he deserves. But man, oh man, like think about where we were 2 years ago at this time. April 1st, 2023. Where were we? And people say, "Oh well, hey, Sweeney was GM then too." All right, well, Did he draft Bergeron, Marchand, those kind of guys like Chara? Like, no, no. Those were guys that were here. You know, um, I just think the team is in such desperate need of direction, and I think they have so little of it right now. They're talking retool because that's the fancy word to use. Man, coming into the season, I thought they'd be better for sure. I mean, I had them going to the East Final. I mean, listen, laugh at me all you want. I had them losing to New Jersey in the Eastern Conference Final this year because I just thought the additions were going to be solid. I thought Swayman was going to be way better than he has been this year. And I just thought collectively as a team, um, you had guys that were coming off career years that could build off of that, and it just didn't happen. None of it happened, right? Um, yeah. So, I mean, I guess now you look at it, I just feel like you need a new direction because I don't think that it could be quick, right? Listen, like I guess, and I'm going to contradict myself here a little bit. If things go right July 1 and you get, oh, they just scored. All right. Oh, there we go. Who is that? Is that Letary? Who is that? It's 2-1 now. 13:55 to go in the second period. That's Vinny. Yep, Letary pops one. All right. No, 2-1 Washington. Um, I'm going to contradict myself because if July 1 goes well, yeah, they could be right back into a playoff mix and vying for something, significant. We'll see. But will they hit all the right buttons there? And will they get all those right players to come in? They're they're 4 or 5 guys. I mean, they need a lot of help. I mean, this roster is very decimated right now. I mean, the amount of help they need is significant. I don't think it is going to be a 1 year and we're right back to it. I think you're looking at 2 3 years at least, and that's I think optimistic. Go at that. So anyway, we'll move on from Boston because I'm tired of talking about it and it makes me unhappy. And you know it's what it is, but yeah, I think it's time for a change of leadership. I just do. Listen, I love Sweeney and Neely as players. I think they've done a lot of good things in their roles, but not enough success, and not enough success, I would say, to justify them just continuing on in those positions. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's talk about maybe not a topic that will make too many people here in Maine happy, but let's talk about the University of Maine. Of course, winning Hockey East, as we know, won that championship. Awesome to see that. Losing poorly to Penn State in the first round of the NCAA Division One tournament on Friday night. Was it 5-1? I think it was 5-1 or 5-2. I think it was 5-1. Um, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, a lot of bad play. What maybe one of the poorest games that they played. And give full credit to Penn State. They were the more precise team. They were the faster team, and I think they were faster mostly because they were connecting through the neutral zone. And we all know in hockey, if you're connecting through the neutral zone with passes, you look faster. Whether you're faster or not, you look faster. And they played that game a lot faster and a lot more mistake free than the Black Bears did. And for the second year in a row, they lose a first round matchup. Frustrating, frustrating. And as you see, and as BC is going through it as well, you're losing players to the NHL, right? And we knew this was going to happen. Like, this is not a surprise. We're going to go through some of this though. Right now, we've got Lyndon Breen has joined the AHL Hershey Bears. So that's, of course, the Washington affiliate. You have Nolan Renwick joining Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, of course, out of Pittsburgh, to that contract. So good for him. Of course, Taylor McCarr, draft pick of the Colorado Avalanche, going out and joining his brother out there in Colorado. Again, not a surprise. So great to have him up here this year. What a lot of fun. And then, of course, you have Harrison Scott signing an entry-level contract with the Dallas Stars, going to join Texas Stars, the AHL affiliate here. And there's more to come. Brazil, Mitten, both could potentially go. very, very soon. If they haven't already, they may have. Um, Tough to lose those guys. We knew that would happen, but good for them. And despite the loss, despite the just frustrating way the season ends, what a magical year for you, Maine. Ben Barr put this team back on the map a couple years ago. Last year, I think they really arrived, and then this year they became a legit. They were number three, number four, number five in the country all year. Win Hockey East, screw you, BC, screw you, BU. Like we're taking this one, and they did. They did. Still a lot of work to do, though, right? A lot of good players coming in. I know that Barr is a great recruiter. He's bringing a lot of new talent in. This happens. I want to say, did I see Boya was on the transfer portal, and the whole portal thing too is a whole other topic that we could get into. We could spend a whole podcast just talking about the transfer portal. But I think Boya might be in the transfer portal, which would be another really tough loss because he was so good. And just another one of those goaltenders in a long line of just great humane Blackbeard goaltenders. So not sure what's going to happen there, but I think you can trust in Ben Barr, trust in what you're seeing, trust in his recruiting, trust in what he has building there. I think you're going to see this become a perennial competitive hockey club. I just do. I think they're going to be right there at or near the top of Hockey East as long as Ben Barr is here, and they're going to get one. They're going to get another national championship under Ben Barr. I have no question about it. I really don't at all. My hope is after the dust settles, I'd love to get Ben Barr on the channel. He is on my short list of people that I'm hoping to bring on. Don't know if it's going to happen. I have no way of promising if that can happen here, but if I can, I will certainly be very happy to promote that, and hopefully we can make that happen. But I've loved what he has done here. It's just so much pride for us from Maine, and knowing the legacy that Sean Walsh had and what the team did back in the 90s. And and listen, you made sports overall. I think there's a lot to be excited about. I'm sitting here in Bangor, Maine tonight, just a stone's throw from the Orono campus, and look at what women's basketball has been over the years. Men's basketball, they were a stone's throw away from the NCAA tournament this year. The baseball program has been very good. Football has elevated. A lot of other sports I'm probably not thinking of. There's a good organic elevation of a lot of the programs here at UMO, and I think it's really exciting. I think it's becoming more and more and more of a destination for players and for student athletes who maybe don't want to go to the big city schools, don't want to go to the big, 40,000 student campuses. They want to go to something a little smaller, a little more, outside of the city, something a little more comfortable. And UMane's a great place, great education too. They've got a lot of wonderful programs. So, yeah, I think that hopefully you'll see this continue. I think just the level of coaching they have across the board. I mean, Vashon for the women's team, women's basketball, she's awesome. We know what Barr has done. I can't think of the UMaine men's basketball, his name, but the head coach there. But he seems like he's got some things figured out. So I think overall, just for University of Maine in general, I think there's a lot to be excited about and hopeful for as we move forward. Let's talk about Canada. Talk about Canada for a second. Let's talk about Canadian teams in NHL playoff positions right now. This is kind of fun. Right now, as we sit here, this is before we have any results from tonight's games. We have Toronto leading the Atlantic, and then you've got Ottawa and Montreal, both in wildcard positions. That's three. We go out west. You've got Winnipeg leading the Central. You have Edmonton third in the Pacific. That's five. So right now, 5 of 7 teams that are in Canada are in the playoffs. Calgary and Vancouver being the only two, and they're both, they're now a little ways behind St. Louis for that second wildcard spot. But 5 of 7, if you were to end it right now, just as a hockey fan, that's exciting. That's just exciting to see that. I know people say, "Aren't you, American? You're from the U.S." Yeah, I am, but I'm a hockey fan. and seeing teams like Montreal, seeing teams like Ottawa, um, elevate and be there. Montreal, maybe they don't get in. Ottawa, I think, is definitely getting in. And I will say this: I had a podcast, I had a commenter when I did my season previews came at me early on back in like August. Oh, Boston's not making it. Ottawa's definitely getting in, and I don't think I ever responded to the guy, but at the time I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I welcome whoever you are to come at me, man, because you were right and I was wrong, man. Like, uh, yeah, Ottawa has surprised me for sure. I did not see them, even with getting all Mark, even knowing that they had, a lot of good energy with new ownership and some different things happening. I still just thought defensively they were going to be rough, and they haven't been. I don't think they've been great defensively, but they've been good enough. And they make the Dylan Cousins trade. Allmark has been really giving them some good um, just stability in net, and that's been a lot of fun to see. So 5 of 7 Canadian teams right now, if the season ended today, would be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That'd be 5 out of 16. So that would give Canada a pretty darn good shot at maybe getting a Stanley Cup. And of those 5 teams, like which one has the best chance of winning the cup? I mean, right now, I think you have to kind of point to Winnipeg just because of where they're sitting. The West is so tough, though. Um, what about Toronto? I don't know if I fully believe in their chances this year. I think they can maybe push to an Eastern Conference final, perhaps. I think that might be their ceiling this year, but um, I do think probably Winnipeg represents the best chance for Canada to win one, just with Hellebuck and the team they have, the group they have, could be uh, could be a lot of fun. As I've said before, I just cannot wait for the Stanley Cup playoffs to get started. Watch enough bad hockey, for a lifetime. I feel like this year, and it's just, I'm kind of all set. I'm kind of all set. Um, Real quick, we're going to talk about the Maine Mariners, of course, a team that I have covered a lot this season. They are getting ready for a game, I believe, tomorrow night. And I'm just going to pull up their schedule real quick. I do think they have Trois Riviere, yes, coming in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock game there at the Cross Insurance Arena. They're still fighting. I mean, they're still mathematically alive, in this thing. Need a lot of things to go right, but they did get a little breath from Providence. Finally, Providence giving some help to the team, getting defenseman Jackson Edward to the Maine Mariners. He is a rookie this year. He was a 2022 draft pick of the Bruins, 6'2", 199-pound guy. He's played 31 games for Providence this year, 1 goal and 6 assists. So, a welcome addition to the club. And we'll see if it makes a difference. Might be too little, too late, but certainly can't hurt. Um, I am sadly will not be at that game tomorrow night. I'm going to be up in Presque Isle, Maine, for a little bit of a work venture. We have a contractor pro show with one of my bigger accounts up there, and I'm going to be up there for a couple of nights. So sadly, we'll miss tomorrow night's game, but I'll be watching and following from my hotel room, and hoping for 2 points. But assuming they don't make the playoffs, I'll have a postseason or video of them. I am hoping to get owner Dexter Payne back on to do kind of a end of season wrap up, and I think there's just a lot to talk about. I'll say this: a lot of good energy here at the end of the year. They've played some really, really good hockey to end the year, and they're going to go down perhaps. They're going down fighting. They're going down winning hockey games. They're going down, continuing to add to the room from, an operations perspective. They're not giving up on the roster, and they're continuing to build. And I just really, really like that a lot. Um, and I do feel like, just from a social media perspective, the fire Coach Wallen chants have kind of simmered down. Good. Thank you. Like, it's good. It's good that that simmered down. Like, he's going to be here next year. He deserves to be here next year. You got to remember, guys, like, he's GM and head coach. like he's probably doing the job of three people. Uh, as far as if he was doing similar jobs in the NHL, right? Like um, doing a lot of work and trying to build, working with a new owner, dealing with all the movement that you deal with at the ECHL level. Like you don't have like look at all the players signing from the NCAA going right to the NHL right now. There's a ton of players going right to the NHL, going to the AHL. Like you're not getting those guys here in Maine. You're not getting those guys at the ECHL level. So you have to dig deeper. You have to work harder, have better analytics, have better scouting to find those good, players that are really going to fit your room. And yeah, it hasn't all worked this year. We know that, right? We know it hasn't all worked for the Maine Mariners this year. But I really can appreciate and I think have a lot of pride around the work that they've done, that they haven't given up, that they continue to grind, continue to move forward. And that's really, really exciting. I think there's good energy going into next year. I just do. I think that there's a lot of good things that are in the works right now that they're starting to implement. And I really hope and think that you're going to see something better next year on the ice. And listen, Dexter Payton's been on this channel a couple times, the owner of the Maine Mariners, and he's acknowledged a couple things, right? He said, "Listen, I had a lot of learning to do about the ECHL. I had a lot of learning about the movement, how much roster, fluctuation there is, and learning a lot about the need to build relationships with your AHL club, with your NHL club, and they need to do more there. And he's committing to that and doing that, working on that. And I'll give Dexter a little bit of a pass here. I think it is probably less about him and more about what he has above him because let's be honest, I don't know how much I trust what's above him right now. Yeah, don't tell anybody I said that. Don't tell Donnie I said that. But yeah, I'm not sure how much trust I have from above. And it did lead me to, of course, my last video where I did question where the affiliation, should be for the Maine Mariners going forward. I won't rehash that conversation. If you want to dive into that, go check out my last video from before this one, and you can hear my takes on that. But yeah, we'll see what Edward can do here. A name I knew and was happy to see him come down. Hopefully, he can add something to the room. And you got these 4 games against Troyes, and you got 3 against Adirondack to end the season. So you're 10 points down. The math is tough, but hopefully they can continue to, every game that you stay alive, every day you go through and you're still alive. Good. Keep that going. Keep that going. Yeah, that's kind of like that's my list. That's what I had to talk about tonight. Just kind of in a hotel room rambling. Don't have any of my fancy editing software or graphics tonight. Just want to come and share a little bit tonight and just talk a little hockey. And as I said at the beginning, it makes watching these Bruins games a lot easier when I can just put the hit the mute button and not have to listen and can kind of turn away when I need to and not want to watch. So over the next couple of weeks, just want to give a little bit of an update. I do have a bit of a work trip here where I'm going to be busy the next few days, home just for about a day. And then I'm turning around, taking a little bit of a vacation next week, heading down to Cape May, New Jersey, reconnecting with an old friend. I'm quite excited about this. Need a break. Need a break from work. Need a break from hockey. As much as I love hockey, it'll be good to take a little bit of a breather from it. So I'm not sure how much I will be coming back here on the channel until probably the next couple of weeks. It might be 10, 12 days before I'm back. We'll see. Maybe I can sneak something in before I head off to New Jersey. But yeah, looking forward to some warmer weather, be on the beach down there. I know it's not summer yet, but certainly warmer than here. And looking at Cape May, I'm a hockey nerd, yes. I'm also a little bit of a paranormal nut. I love that paranormal, the TV shows, and I love like the Kindred Spirits group and Adam Berry and Amy Bruni and their stuff. And she has a wonderful podcast. If you are into that stuff, Amy Bruni's podcast, Haunted Road. Oh man, hey, go check that out. If anybody's interested in that, she dives into the history of these locations. And again, I'm a history major. I love it. I don't even have to hear about the ghost stuff and the paranormal stuff, just the history that she provides is worth the listen. That's Haunted Road. You find it, on Apple Podcasts, and I'm sure it's on other streaming services. But she does an awesome job. But Kate May is loaded with uh, haunted locations, and I've got a small list that I've already gathered. Working with my dear friend, and I think her and I may go check some of these spots out in between hot tub sessions, and so looking forward to that. Be a nice break for me, but I will, like I say, um, kind of middle of the month, 12th, 13th or so, be back and hopefully be able to come back, and we'll be getting very close to the playoffs at that point for the NHL. I think they start on April 19th, if I'm not mistaken, this year. So be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot to talk about. And I'm also working on trying to get Ace from Running with the Devils podcast back on. He and I have been chatting about getting him back here to do a pre-playoff preview for his New Jersey Devils. So that will be a lot of fun. It looking like they're going to be playing Carolina in that 2-3 there in the Metro. So should be a good time there. Um, and he's just awesome. Another great podcast to listen, even if you're not a Devils fan. Running with the Devils podcast, he does pre-game, post-game for his Devils, and does a lot of live streaming. You can interact with them. I know he goes to a lot of games, and his background. I mean, I think I have a pretty good background at home with all my hats and all my stuff. But man, he's got some gear. He's got it's awesome. It's awesome. Just go check him out. Go give him a follow too. He is definitely worth the listen. And I will continue as I can my series of Battleship NHL teams. I've covered 3 or 4 teams so far. I've done Winnipeg, Toronto, Vegas, and Washington, I think, so far. And I'd like to do Dallas, Colorado, I think would be next. I'd like to do Florida, Tampa, maybe try to mix in Edmonton in there. If I have time. And that's what I'm hoping to do before the playoffs, just to kind of give all those teams a look, kind of these um, more battle tested teams that are more likely to win the Stanley Cup. And I think you've got 4 teams in the East, and I think you have at least 5 in the West that could win the Cup this year. I do think the West champion wins the Cup this year. I just do. I think it's a stronger division of hockey, and I think if you come out of that Western Conference, you're truly battle tested. And as much as Florida is a great team, as much as Washington, just an impeccable team. As much as I picked New Jersey to win the East, and um, I kind of think Washington right now, just they look so good, and I just think the story of the aging Ovi, and just organizationally, we've talked about that on the channel. Just their ECHL team, AHL team, just how they have built their organization, and they got the young Spencer Carberry, who I don't know. I'd have to look. Is he younger than Ovi? Like he might be younger than Ovi. I'm not sure on that one, but you just love the team building. You love the roster construction that they've had there. So kind of sort of you're pulling for them. May not be pulling for them tonight against my Bruins, but um, should be a lot of fun. But anyway, hey, if anybody's been to Cape May and you have any restaurant recommendations, leave those down below. Would love that. I've never been, so really any help you can give me would be fantastic. And I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching and listening tonight. Definitely appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing here, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Do appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.